Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk about file uploads and specifically image uploads. The idea is that somebody can click on upload files and then they can drag and drop, or they can click here and pick one of the photos from their computer. But you can see we have a nice UI widget here for the user. If you would implement image upload completely yourself, you would have to first of all create a UI widget so that users can actually drag and drop and upload their files. Then you need to put those files on a CDN so it's very fast. And you want to optimize the images, so you want to serve WebP and AVIF format. You want to make the images responsive so that you're not loading huge image files on small devices. You want to do validation so that users aren't uploading huge files or the wrong format. And there are so many things to think about, and therefore I don't recommend that you implement all of that yourself. Instead, you may want to consider using a third-party service, and that's exactly what we're going to do in this video. We're going to use Uploadcare to manage all of that for us. And they need to get the word out, so that's why they're sponsoring this video. So let's start from a clean slate. I removed the button here, and just to quickly show you how I implemented this. So I just have this array of URLs. I just found these images on Unsplash, but here we have the image gallery and it just takes those URLs, right? So just an array of these strings that we have. That's what I pass here to the image gallery. But for now, I'm going to remove all of these images. So I'm just going to make this an empty array. And I'm also going to reset the layout here. Now we have a clean slate. All right, so now we want to add the upload button and that's upload widget. And we get that from Uploadcare. So we're going to have to integrate Uploadcare into our app here. Now here in the dashboard, I created an account and they make it very easy for you to integrate it here. So here we're using Next.js. So we need to install this. I'm going to install this package. All right, so I installed that. And then we can add the uploader into our app. So here we can import everything that's necessary. I can copy that and I'm gonna import it like this. Now, interestingly, Uploadcare actually uses web components. So we need to register these blocks, as they call it. Yeah, so then here, these are the two custom elements that we need to add to get the upload button and to make the file uploader work. Right, so you don't need to know much about web components or custom elements, but basically what you get here, it's basically an extension of HTML, right? So you can create your own reusable components without using a framework like React or Angular or Vue if you're using web components. So this is all we need to add. Now here we do need to add, for the CSS, we need to add the package that we are using. So let's go to our package.json file here. And here I just installed 0.30.8. So here for the CSS, let me add it here, 0.30.8. Now we see an upload button here. And if I click it, we can see the upload widget, which is a really nice widget here. And of course, what I can do now is I can open up any of the files that I have on my computer. I can link from other places on the internet. I can use my camera, my integrated camera on my computer, and these other sources as well. But we'll talk more about that later. But let's say I want to upload this photo of a cat that I have of my cat. Let's say I'm going to open this up and you can see it's uploading now, right? So you can see there's a nice loading indicator here. And now it says one file uploaded. Now, one cool thing I can do here is actually I can edit the photo as well. So maybe I don't want the left side and I don't want all of the right side here. I want to maybe focus a little bit more on the cat itself. I can do the editing here within this widget here as well, which is really cool. I'm going to close out of here. I can click done here. And now the image should be uploaded here. So here in the dashboard, I can go to files here and it should be here, right? So now I can see there was a file uploaded here, an image file. You can see a preview here. And so here you can see all the files that were uploaded. Now here they also show you how to deliver the file, right? So now it's been uploaded, but now we also want to show it here, right? In the gallery, right? So here they give you an example of how to deliver it. So I uploaded a JPEG image file, and although JPEG is a lossy format, it's still pretty big, as you can see, 516 kilobytes. We have some new formats, WebP and AVIF, and especially AVIF here, you can see that's a massive difference. So ideally we can serve an AVIF image. And it's good to mention in the dashboard here, if you go to settings and then delivery, you can see that WebP and AVIF are enabled by default. So your images are automatically uploaded to a CDN and then served as AVIF or WebP, depending on if the user's browser supports it. And the way it works with Uploadcare is they have this base URL, the uCare CDN. So it's automatically put on a CDN, right? So it's very fast around the world. And then the part after that is the unique identifier for the image. And then after that, you have all of the transformations that you can do on that image. Right, so if I copy this URL and if I add this back to that array of strings that we had before, I can just add it like this. Now, since we are learning images from an external domain, in Next.js, you need to specify some information about that for security reasons. And if I save now, let's see what we get. We see the image here. Right, you can see it's pretty big here because we have removed all of those layout styles. So let me remove it from here. but at least now we can upload images and we can see it here in the dashboard. By default, the file uploader, this is what it looks like, right? So this is what you get. Now in the dashboard, they make it super easy to customize pretty much everything here. They actually have a really nice configurator here. So here in the dashboard, you can do exactly what you want. They have a modal version or a minimal version. And you can click on dark mode and get dark mode. I actually like dark mode, so let's go with dark mode here. You can change the accent color here. So should there be an image editor, right? So when the user picks one of the files, right? So if I click this one, the user can edit this, right? So they can go here and they can edit the image. Do you want to allow that? Well, yes, that's actually a really nice feature. So we will also allow that. So then the sources. So this is where the users can upload images from. So if I open this up again, so we can actually add everything. Why not? Right? We could add everything, although the list becomes pretty big by then. So, let's just stick to this. All right. So then validation, because we don't want to have a user that uploads, let's say, a 10 gigabyte file or something like that. Right. So here, let's say we only want images, right? So you can pick only images, not PDF files for our use case here, right? But we only want images. They should be at most 10 megabytes. Okay, that's fine. How many files can they upload? A single file or multiple? All right, so then they show you how to install that. So we already installed npm here. We do need to add this to the tsconfig because we're using JSX. So to get the correct types, we need to add it to the tsconfig file as well. Right, so I just added this to my tsconfig file so we get the correct types, right? So for these web components here or these custom elements, if I now make a mistake, use an attribute here that doesn't exist, I should get a warning here, right? So now TypeScript indeed warns me here because the types are configured correctly, okay? All right, so then here, configure the styles. So we need to change the CSS a little bit because we're gonna use dark mode. So I can just copy this. And this is what I wanna add to my globals.css file. So for configuration here, we need to add this maximum, right? Maximum 10 megabytes, only images. And now I'm gonna add these other 3 attributes, okay? And then let's see the last step here. Yeah, so here we have the class that we need to add. We already had these 2, but we just added some CSS with a particular selector, so we need to match that up. So we call that myconfig, or actually Uploadcare calls that myconfig. All right, so now let's check it out and see if we customize this, right? So now you can see the button also is dark mode, and you can see it's all dark mode here. And we still have the same sources, but now we want to get those files and we want to display it here on the page. So what we can do is when a user uploads a file, there will be an upload event on this widget and we can hook into that event. So to do that, to programmatically interact with this uploader, there is one other custom element that we want to use here, which is called LR upload context provider. And we need to give it the context name that's the same as here, right? So we need to hook into this element. So in React, you do that with a ref. So let's use ref here. And then this is what we want to use here. So let's copy that and let's add that right there. So Uploadcare will give us the type for this as well. You can find that on documentation very easily. And now we need to attach an event handler, right? So typically in React, we've seen that before, we can use useEffect, right? So in here, then when the component mounts, what we can do is we can take the current, so that's the actual element, and we're going to add an event listener with the event called upload. And actually it should be upload finish, right? So when the upload is finished, that's when we can run a function here, right? So now we can maybe call that handle upload, which will give us an event. So let's actually see what we get. So let's just log that. So we can actually see in the console here what we will actually get. All right, so let's actually upload a file here again. I'm going to upload this cat and let's see what we will get here in the console. All right, so now we have something called a custom event. Most importantly here, we are interested in detail here. So here we get detail, and detail looks like it has some interesting information. And indeed here we see a CDN URL. We see some other information. So also we see this unique identifier. So every file that's uploaded gets a unique identifier from Uploadcare, and Uploadcare recommends actually that you work with this. So not with the complete URL, you just keep track of the unique identifier. So here we can actually check if there is an e.detail. We can set the image URLs. We can use the CDN URL here, but Uploadcare recommends that you work with the unique identifier. So let's actually refactor this and not using the image URLs, but image IDs, let's say. So I'm going to change this to image IDs. And that's what we're going to set here. So we're going to set image IDs. Well, if we already uploaded other ones, we want to keep those ones, right? So here we can say we want to create a new array, but we want to keep all the other ones. But now we want to add the ID of the one that was just uploaded. Now we get an issue with TypeScript here. So it doesn't know what the E is. E is typed as any. Uploadcare will tell you that the type here is custom event, and then it's an output file entry. And actually we get an array of that because we could upload multiple files. So now this ID could actually also be undefined. So what we could actually do is just quickly filter this. And now we have one more issue. We are setting image IDs, which has been inferred as type never. So let's actually say that this is going to be an array of strings. So if we do all of that, right, so we have a bunch of IDs here in this array. So that's what we should pass to the, let's say, image gallery here. So that's what I'm going to pass here. And that's what we want to map over here. So for each ID here. Now, of course, an image source should be the complete URL, not just, an ID. So here we need to construct the URL that Uploadcare wants us to use. So let's actually quickly go back here because they give an example here. Yeah, so it starts with this ucare CDN, and let's actually put that in a constant here. So I will call that Uploadcare base URL, and I get a great suggestion here. Okay, and then the next part is always going to be that unique identifier. So that's the actual image ID here, right? I get a warning here actually in Next.js because I'm not using the Next.js image component. We'll talk about that in a second. And then after another slash, we can add transformations, but we'll talk about it in a second. Let's see if this actually works. So now if I go back here and let's actually try uploading another again. I'm going to upload this cat file and let's see what happens. And now you can see, so you need to add a trailing slash here at the end, otherwise it will not work. So if I save here, we actually see the image right here. We see it twice actually because React renders twice, right? So now if I refresh here for a clean slate and let's try this again with the dog here. If I open this up, let's see, so it's going to upload and then you can see it's already added here. So if I close out of here, you can see this dog is added to the list. To get rid of this double upload issue, we need to make sure that the event listener only gets added once, not twice. Right, so Copilot helping me out here. This looks pretty good. All right, so now let's try that again. Refresh for a clean slate and I will upload one of those images one more time. Let's see what happens. All right, so I uploaded this image and it's added only once. So that's a very simple way of uploading and displaying it. Now in the real world, we may want to allow the user to also edit an image. So for example, if I upload this cat here, right now it immediately gets displayed on the page. But what if the user wants to edit this? Or maybe they change their mind and they remove an image. Right? But now it's already added here in the background. You can see that. You can see there is this done button. Right? So essentially this is when the user is actually finished. There is actually a done event that we can hook into. That's when we want to add it to the page. Now to do that, we do need to keep track of what the user is doing. So if they upload a file, we actually do want to keep track of that. So here we actually need to do two use effects here. So here we're going to listen not for upload finish. We're going to listen for an event called data output. So this allows us to keep track of whatever the user has been uploading. And we want to keep track of that in state here actually. So here we can say uploaded files. This is just some temporary variable essentially that we need to keep track of the files that the user has uploaded. Right? So I will add another use effect. So that's a different event. That's the done flow event, right? So we take each uploaded file and we want to return just its unique identifier. So not CDN URL. We're just going to keep track of the IDs, right? So you can find all of this in the documentation as well. So let me refresh here for a clean slate and let's try it out. So now I'm first going to upload, let's say this cat, and you can see there is nothing in the background yet, which is exactly what we want actually. And now I think, oh, I want to add another one. So I say, okay, now I'm finished. And now I want to click on done here and then it should be displayed here in the gallery. So let's see what happens. If I click on done, we see image 1, the cat, okay. And then we see the dog. All right, so this is working. Now something else that you may also want to pay attention to is what do you want to display when the user opens up the widget again? Do you want to display the old files that they just uploaded? Or do you want to start from a clean slate here? Now, I think it's better in this scenario here where if the user clicks on upload files again, that it's cleared, right? So we shouldn't see the previous uploads anymore. So here, when we handle the done here and we set the new image IDs, after that, we may also want to clear that widget as well as clear the uploaded files that we were keeping track of. So let's set that to an empty array again. And then to clear the actual widget you want, we can use that context provider again, right? So the context provider is what you use to programmatically interact with that widget. Now I get suggested the reset method here, but if I read the documentation correctly, it's actually upload collection dot clear all. Right, so now if I refresh here one more time and I upload something, let's see what we get after it's done. Okay, so now it's gonna be done. Now it should be added. Okay. But now I'm going to click again and you can see it's completely cleared. It's a nice clean slate. Alright, and we'll talk about the layout in a second. This image is actually being stretched right now because of this layout, but we'll optimize that, all of that in a second. So to do that, actually, we need to transform the image. Let's actually talk about transformations that Uploadcare allows you to do. We actually already saw how they want you to do that here with the URL, right? So we have the base URL, then we have the ID, and then you can apply certain transformations. So let's go to the image gallery here. So after the ID is where you can apply transformation. And they actually have a pretty nice syntax here. So for these transformations, you need to separate it from the rest for each transformation with this dash. And then here you can determine what transformation you want to do. So for example, we can determine the format. However, you will rarely need this because by default, it will actually already be AVIF or WebP format anyway. But in case you really want a JPEG, for example, this is how you could specify that. So typically you're going to serve WebP or AVIF format, and these are lossy format, and you can determine the quality of them. So by default it's set to normal, but if you think the quality looks a bit bad, you can say it should be better or best. This is, for example, recommended if you have artwork and you really want to display pristine quality images, but it comes at a cost of a larger image file size. Maybe you're okay with a lighter. They also have lightest, which comes down to about 50% of the file size. Now here in the dashboard under settings and then delivery, they also allow you to enable adaptive quality. So with the adaptive quality option, it will actually look at the content of your image to determine the best quality level. Alright, so now let's actually talk a little bit about the layout that we want to have and how you can optimize the images for your particular layout. So you can use the preview transformation and you can say how much space you have available for the image. So then you're basically telling Uploadcare, hey, I have 300 by 300 available, right? That's what we have available. Just resize the image to fit in there essentially. So if I save here and now we go back, you can see that we have this 300 by 300 space. That's the square here. And Uploadcare has resized the image to make sure that it fits within that space that we have available. So if I upload the cat photo as well, let's actually put them next to each other. I think that looks a little bit better. We can use a flexbox for that. The only thing you have to do is say flex. I will add a gap of 2. All right, so now this is what we have. Well, typically what we would want is that it takes up the entire space. So there is actually also the resize transformation that we can make here. So now you can see the images take up the entire space, but they are stretched. So they actually provide another transformation that you can make to avoid that stretching, which is called scale crop. So it will scale and crop parts of the image to fit in that space. And we can also say center, which means it should focus on the center when it does the cropping. All right, so then we get this. Their faces are kind of on the side here. Instead, there's a smarter setting here, smart objects, faces, points. Let's see what we get. And now you can see the images, they are more focused on the subject in the image. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the layouts that you can have and how to optimize the images for different types of layout. For example, if this one takes up the entire width here, right? So let's start here. So here, if I open this up, you can see it's actually a huge image that we're downloading, right? So this is the image I'm downloading over the internet. The image that we get from Uploadcare should be the same width as the container. Should not be bigger than that. Then we're just wasting pixels, right? We don't need that much space. So the width of the container is 1000 pixels. So let's actually resize this image so that we also get an image over the internet that is 1000 pixels. Now I get this image, right? So now this is not a huge image. This is a smaller image, smaller in size, and this fits perfectly here. So far so good. Now in reality, of course, what's going to happen is the container is going to decrease in size on a smaller device. But the image that we're getting over the internet is still that 1000 pixels. So for this situation, you may want to consider using the srcSet attribute. Right? So the srcSet here is just the options that the browser can use. So now what we want to use as well is sizes. So with sizes, you can basically determine which one the browser should pick. So if the viewport right now is 800 pixels, let's say, well, 800 pixels is less than 1000. So this media query here does not apply. So then this applies. 100% of 800 pixels is 800 pixels. So then it will pick the one option that's closest to that. And here we have one that's actually perfect for 800. Now it's a bit cumbersome to define all of these sources for the source set ourselves. So Next.js and actually Uploadcare also helps you out here. They have custom components. And then we can remove all of this. We can remove all the source set stuff here. Yeah, what is the width going to be? It depends on the viewport. So then you want to use the fill, remove that one and just sort of have like a base URL, including the image ID. Now Next.js will then generate the source set for us, but it's going to be a bit limited compared to what Uploadcare can do. So Uploadcare actually has a custom loader for Next.js. So I will install it just like this, Next.js loader. It's called Uploadcare loader. All right, now to make a custom loader work, we need to specify that here. So loader custom. To make this work, we also need to create a .env.local file and add this public key from Uploadcare. So this key is the same as what you use here for the config element here. So you can just copy that public key and just paste it right here. And you can see that the image that we have that's actually rendered here in the HTML has all of these URLs in the source set automatically generated for us by Uploadcare. All right, so what we have right now, we have one downside, which is that if I refresh, we don't see any image anymore, right? So we're not persisting any data here right now, right? So here what we're doing is just, the user is just uploading an image and we're just getting the ID here on the client side here in use effect. And that's what we use here, all in the browser. So I will quickly add a database to our project here. I will just use Prisma. Right, but then what we're going to store is the Uploadcare ID as well, right? So this is what we're going to store in the database, not the whole URL, just the Uploadcare ID. So as a file gets uploaded to Uploadcare, Uploadcare will let you know that somebody uploaded a file, right? So we can use webhooks here in the dashboard, right? So if I go there, I can add a webhook here. Now I have to let Uploadcare know where to send that webhook to. So this is a good use case for using the route handlers in Next.js. So let's actually create a folder called API and then Uploadcare, and then we have the actual route.ts file, and then we just want to store the unique identifier. This should be body.data.uuid. All right, so you can see that my database right now is empty. So I can say ngrok http, and then it's port 3000 that our app is running on. Uploadcare will send a request to this URL and ngrok will forward that to our local host here. So only this first part is what we need to change. So I'm going to upload a file here. And we can see file uploaded. So let's see actually. And indeed, we see image saved to database, right? So this was logged. So that means that we now look into our database. We should see records here. And indeed we do. So we may want to verify that this request is actually coming from Uploadcare. Right now, everybody can technically upload. So we want to make sure that only people that we may have given permission to can upload files. And the same with downloading files. Technically, right now, anybody could just download this file. By downloading, I mean just using the URL and just going to that URL, you're downloading an image. And there is no expiry on this. And that's a problem, especially if you have content, people need to pay for it and they get 1 month of access. Then after that 1 month, they should not be able to download that image anymore or video. So here in settings in the dashboard, there's one other option here, which is called signed uploads. And there's something similar for signed downloads as well. This is the example I'm going to show you. So now signed uploads feature enabled. Let's actually see what happens if I try to upload something. Right, so now you can see, if I zoom in here, it says signature is required. So here, when we load the app from the client, we're going to send a request to our backend. And on our backend, we will generate a valid signature. We're just going to use the server action. Now, most of this you can find in the docs. Well, what are we returning here? So we're returning an object, and the object needs 2 things. So it needs to have an expiry, right? And then the actual signature here, we have a helper function. So it will take our secret. So we need some kind of secret here. That's what we're passing into this helper function here. That's what we have stored in an environment variable, or what we should store there. So if we open that up right now, Uploadcare secret key. So if we go to API keys, here I can click on add secret key. I'm going to click on show key. Make sure you don't show it to anybody else. This is the tutorial, so I'm going to show it to you, but I will delete this after recording. I'm going to copy this and then I'm going to add this right here. So now on the front end, so we're going to say get signature. Let's quickly create some state for this. Signature, set signature. This is what we will get from the server, right? So now we can set the signature right here. Set signature, right? So set the signature to whatever we get from that server action. So then we can add this to our config here. We can say secure signature, and we can just use signature and signature, and then we have secure expire, and we can grab it and we can use it like that. All right, so now let me refresh here. Let me try uploading and see if we still get that warning. I will upload this dog and that looks good. Yeah, so now I uploaded a file. So now I have protected this a little bit better. Not everybody can just upload. You first need to sort of ask permission from my server before you can upload. All right, so that was a lot to take in. And as you can see, there's a lot to it when it comes to file uploads or image uploads. Imagine if you had to do everything yourself or had to do a lot of that yourself. Well, we don't have to. We have a third-party service called Uploadcare that can take care of a lot of those things for you. So I think it's a great service. I really like the design as well. And I really like the dashboard as well. So here, one other thing they also have in the dashboard here, they have an overview of all of these transformations you can do to these images. So we've already looked at a lot of them. But there are still so many other things you can do with these images. So for example, you can also add a watermark very easily, right? So you can have a look through here. They also have some cool AI features here where it can detect certain content in images. But pretty much anything you want to do with images, you can do with Uploadcare here. They have some analytics, they have logs, and overall it was a really nice service to use. So I want to thank Uploadcare for sponsoring this video. And I want to thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you learned a lot about images. Thanks for watching this video and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.